Welcome to my podcast and learn speaking in English with Sanay. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Master English Speaking. I'm your host, Sanay, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. If you're listening, that means you're ready to take your English speaking skills to the next level, and I'm here to help you do just that. In this episode, we'll focus on how to start speaking English confidently and how to create a habit of speaking that will take your language skills to new heights. Whether you're a beginner or you've been studying for a while, this episode will give you practical advice on how to begin or improve your English speaking journey. So, let's get started. Before we dive into the specifics of how to improve your English speaking skills, let's talk about why learning to speak English is so important. English is the most widely spoken language in the world, and it's the global language of communication. Whether you're traveling, working, studying, or connecting with new people, knowing how to speak English opens countless opportunities. In fact, many companies today require employees to be proficient in English because it's the language of business. You'll also find that when you can speak English, you're more likely to make meaningful connections with people from around the world. This means that learning to speak English isn't just about reading grammar books or memorizing vocabulary. It's about breaking down barriers and building a global connection. So, understanding why learning to speak English is important will motivate you to continue your journey. And guess what? You don't need to be perfect to speak well. The goal is to communicate effectively, and we're going to cover how you can do that, starting right now. Now that you know why speaking English is important, let's talk about the first thing you need to do to start improving: listening. When it comes to learning a new language, listening is the foundation of speaking. Before you can speak fluently, you need to understand how English sounds and get used to how words and phrases flow together. If you don't already listen to English regularly, I encourage you to start right now. There are many ways to expose yourself to English. The easiest way is to start listening to English podcasts, like this one. But there's also watching TV shows, movies, or even YouTube videos in English. The goal here isn't to understand every word, but to get used to the rhythm, pronunciation, and flow of the language. Try listening to simple conversations first. Shows like Friends or The Office are excellent for beginners because they have everyday language and natural speaking speed. As you listen, pay attention to how the speakers say things, their tone, and how words are connected. Here's a challenge for you: listen to an English podcast or watch a short TV episode in English every day for 10 minutes. It could be something simple like an English news update or a show you like. Don't worry if you don't catch every word at first. The more you listen, the more you'll start to pick up patterns and familiar words. Let's take a moment to talk about one of the biggest challenges many learners face: the fear of making mistakes. I know how it feels when you're worried about saying something wrong. But here's a little secret: mistakes are your best teachers. No one speaks perfectly all the time, not even native speakers. What matters is your ability to communicate. You'll improve over time, but only if you're brave enough to speak. Think about this: when babies start learning their first language, they make a ton of mistakes. But the more they speak, the more they learn. You're doing the same thing as an adult learner. Don't be discouraged by mistakes, and definitely don't let them stop you from speaking. If you make a mistake, laugh about it, learn from it, and move on. This mindset will help you improve faster than worrying about getting everything perfect. Another way to improve your speaking is by gradually building your vocabulary. I'm not saying you need to memorize long lists of words. Instead, focus on learning words and phrases that are useful for daily conversations. For example, start with common greetings like, "Hi, how are you?" or "What's your name?" These are basic but essential phrases. Then, move on to questions you'll use frequently, like, "Where are you from?" or "What do you do for work?" As you continue, expand your vocabulary by learning words related to your interests. If you love cooking, learn cooking-related vocabulary. If you're a traveler, learn words and phrases that are useful in airports, hotels, or restaurants. The key here is consistency. Spend 5 to 10 minutes every day learning 3 to 5 new words or phrases. It adds up over time, and soon you'll have a bigger vocabulary to draw from when speaking. Pronunciation and intonation are also critical components of speaking English clearly. When speaking, make sure you practice the pronunciation of sounds that might be tricky for you. For example, the th sound in words like thanks or think is difficult for many learners, but with practice, it gets easier. Also, pay attention to intonation, how the pitch of your voice rises and falls. Intonation helps convey meaning. For example, in English, we often raise our voice at the end of a question, like, "Are you going to the store?" One way to practice pronunciation is by repeating what you hear in movies or podcasts. This helps you mimic the correct sounds and intonation. You can also use apps that help you practice pronunciation by comparing your voice to native speakers. Finally, let's talk about setting realistic, achievable goals. Learning to speak English takes time, so it's important to set small goals that keep you motivated. For example, you might set a goal to learn 5 new words every day or practice speaking for 10 minutes each day. Track your progress, this will help you see how far you've come. And remember, celebrate the small wins. By setting small, realistic goals, you'll stay motivated and avoid feeling overwhelmed. Focus on progress, not perfection. And that's it for today's episode of Master English Speaking. I hope you're feeling motivated and ready to start speaking English with more confidence. Remember, the key is consistency. Listen to English every day, practice speaking, embrace your mistakes, and gradually build your vocabulary. Keep setting small goals, and celebrate every bit of progress you make. Thank you for listening. I'm your name, and I'll be back next week with more